All right. I'm making this video just to remind everybody that every illegal is getting deported. It's Trump's version of DEI. Deport every illegal.
One of the very first appointments Donald Trump made after winning the election in November was tapping one man to be what he calls his border czar. Tom Homan is a former Border Patrol agent and acting director of ICE with decades of experience in Republican and Democratic administrations. I sat down with him this week and began our conversation by asking him about the role of the U.S. military.
We got military on the border, not only helping us with departure flights on military planes, but they're helping to build infrastructure. They're putting up Constantino wire. They're down there to create a secure border and lock that border down. And DOD's helped administrations before, but not at this level. So it's a force multiplier, and it's sending a strong signal to the world. Our border's closed.
Hey, I think most countries have their military out on the border, don't they? I mean, we have Border Patrol, but we don't have enough of them. But the media here, the left-wing media, which is almost all media, they have a problem with that. They have a problem with us defending our borders. It's so nuts.
Is this what we will see every single day, ending in what the president has promised is millions and millions being deported?
Yes, but you're going to see the number steadily increase, the number of arrests nationwide as we open up the aperture. Right now it's concentrating public safety threats, national security threats. That's a smaller population. So we're going to do this on priority base, as President Trump's promised, but as that aperture opens, there'll be more arrests nationwide.
Tom, he's saying that we're deporting people right now, criminals, illegal criminals, and as time goes by, we're going to start sucking up more and more people, including illegals that haven't committed crimes since they've been here. They did commit a crime when they came here. It's illegal to just come over here. All right, we need to know who you are. You need to come in the right way. That's what's going to happen, guys. And they're going to have to deport a minimum of 20 million illegals, because that's what we voted for. That's why we put Trump in there.
When you talk about the aperture opening, the estimates of perhaps those who have been convicted or arrested in the past, 700,000 to over 1 million. So after you do that, then you go after everybody who is there illegally.
If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table.
Ha ha! See? I told you guys. We want him to do this. Tom Homan is the perfect man for the job, too. He's just like Trump, man. He's a bulldog.
Because it's not okay to, violate laws of this country. You got to remember, every time you enter this country illegally, you violated a crime under Title 8, United States Code 1325. It's a crime.
Yep.
So if you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. And that's why I'm hoping those who are in the country illegally who have not been ordered removed by the federal judge should leave.
While you are emphasizing that you go after national security threats, you have said no one's off the table. If you're in the country illegally, you better be looking over your shoulder. You should be afraid and start packing now.
Yes.
Is that what you're doing to get hotel workers out or people working on farms, that they'll be so scared they just leave?
So you're admitting that the illegals are taking Americans' jobs away from them, aren't you?
Look, I think if you're in the country illegally, it's not okay. It's not okay to violate laws of this country. We have millions of people standing in line, taking the test, doing their background investigation, paying the fees that want to come in the right way.
Let's talk about the arrests so far.
Hey, we also have millions of illegals that come here just to work. They have work permits. Okay? It's like seasonal work. And after that's done, they go home. That's the deal we have worked out with them.
Released the first day were over 500, and there were reports that one was a suspected terrorist, others were gang members. Were all of the people who were arrested on day one, as far as you know, convicted criminals or those who had been arrested before?
No. And let me explain that. There are collateral arrests. Where do collateral arrests happen? Sanctuary cities. And this is important we understand that.
Collateral arrests. Tom Homan needs to slow down and stop blurring all of his words together.
Sanctuary cities lock us out of the jails. So instead of ICE being able to arrest the bad guy, the criminal alien, in the safety and security of a jail where the officer's safe, the aliens safe and the public safe, sanctuary cities release them back in the community, which endangers the community, putting the criminal alien back in the community. But when we find him, he's going to be with others, most likely. Many times they're with others. If they're in a...
I didn't understand anything he just said. But what he's trying to say is, in a blue city, in a sanctuary city, if they arrest an illegal for a violent crime or a sex crime, they will not work with ICE to hand the criminal over so that we can deport them. They protect the criminal. And then ultimately they get released back into the public where they can continue being criminals with their violent crimes. So it doesn't make any sense. It's hard to believe that anybody would vote for a Democrat. Half the country's brainwashed.
Country legally, they're coming too.
But were these arrests all in sanctuary cities? It doesn't appear so on the first day.
The collaterals, many more. I don't have the exact breakdown, but again,
so the arrests in
Massachusetts,
in Chelsea, Massachusetts, which the governor said it's great to arrest the criminals who have been convicted, but were there people taken there as well who were not convicted? Were
sure
they, as you say, collateral?
I'm sure they are.
You talk about these numbers expanding. 500 the first day. What do you think you can get up to?
As many as we can get.
Yeah.
What can happen at this point, given your manpower?
Look, I think we're in the beginning stages. We're bringing more resources into this operation. As a whole of government, we're going to have DOJ assisting us. And like the DOD piece, helping build infrastructure, helping with the transportation, that takes ICE, badges and guns, out of those duties and puts them on the street.
I want to go back to who you're deporting. Aside from the long list of executive actions, the administration said it will no longer tell ICE agents they have to avoid sensitive locations, including schools, hospitals, churches. Benjamin Huffman, the acting Homeland Security Secretary, said in a statement...
These Democrats, this reporter lady here, she's trying to paint Tom Homan in a bad light, saying that he's going to go into schools and arrest kids and all this stuff. They're doing everything they can to try to make Trump and Homan the bad guy when they're scooping up violent criminals. You know what I mean? This is what we voted for. This is what we wanted. You're not painting Trump in a bad light. I think they're painting themselves in a bad light because they're defending this crap. They're defending keeping illegal criminals in our country.
Criminals will no longer be able to hide in America's schools and churches to avoid arrest. What criminals are hiding in schools?
Look,
middle schools, elementary schools. You going to go into those?
How many MS-13 members are age 14 to 17?
Ah, gotcha, bitch.
Many. So, look, if it's a national security threat, public safety threat, and what you need to understand is a case by case. Name another agency, another law enforcement agency that has those type of requirements that they can't walk into a school or a doctor's office or on a medical campus. No other agencies have those standards.
Yeah, if there's a criminal in there, go get them. We don't care if they're 13, 14, 15. If they're a MS-13 gang member, go get them and deport them.
Well-trained officers with a lot of discretion, and when it comes to a sensitive location, there's still going to be supervised review. So it's not like it's an open issue, but ICE officers should have discretion to decide if a national security threat or a public safety threat's in one of these facilities, then there should be an option for them to make the arrest.
But someday you could go into those schools and grab people who are just in the country illegally.
On a case-by-case basis, depending who they are, what the circumstances are.
Yes, we want them all deported. Use the front door.
It's never a zero game.
You know that this creates fear in the immigrant community. The chair of the U.S. Conference of Bishops Committee said turning places of care, healing, and solace into places of fear and uncertainty for those in need while endangering the trust between pastors, providers, educators, and the people they serve will not make our communities safer. Well,
look, here's I think. If Congress has a job to do, we're enforcing the laws Congress enacted and the President signed. If they don't like it, change the law. I find it hard to believe any member of Congress is telling us not to enforce the law that they enacted and they fund us to do.
But opening up to anyone who's in the country illegally and going into schools and grabbing them, kids,
The
adults?
message needs to be clear. There's consequences for entering a country illegally.
That means yes, we're eventually going to go scoop them all up. We don't care what grade they're in. We can hook them up with their parents, their families, and ship them all out at the same time. Kids don't get to stay just because they're kids.
If we don't show there's consequences, you're never going to fix the border problem.
Yep.
Estimates are that there are 11 million undocumented immigrants in the...
They've been saying that for 10 years. They've been saying that before Biden. So, Biden let in 20. There's probably 50 million illegals in this country. And if every illegal, if Trump was able to deport every illegal in, say, a year, which would be impossible, but let's just say Trump could deport every illegal in a year, the Democrats would probably lose 20 House seats. This is another way that they cheat. Not only do they try to get them to vote or fill out ballots, I believe, using the census, and they use the illegals to gain more House votes. It's all cheating.
this country right now. How can you possibly afford to deport all of those people?
Well, I'll leave it up to Congress. You know, I think Congress, the president has a mandate. This is the #1 issue that people voted on. I think Congress has a mandate to give us money we need. What price you put on national security?
More
What
detention
price,
centers?
what price you put on? What price you put on all these young ladies that have been raped and murdered and burned alive? What price you put on that?
They don't
What
care.
price you put on Lincoln Riley's life? What price you put on national security? Like I just explained, when you have a surge like this, we don't secure that border. That's when national security threats enter the country. That's when sex trafficking goes up. That's when the fentanyl comes in that kills 250,000 Americans.
Democrats don't care as long as it helps them win elections.
I don't put a price on that.
And on those detention centers, do you need more beds? I think there's
Absolutely.
41,000 now, 100,000. So where do you get those beds? Do you build more camps? Do you do this military
Yes.
installations in Texas and
Yes.
elsewhere?
A little bit of everything. We can build
Yep,
outside
all of it.
facilities. We can expand our contracts to outside contractors. So yeah, we're going to need more ICE beds. A minimum of 100,000. Congress needs to come to the table quick and give us the money we need.
Yeah, it's going to cost money to gather all these people up, all the resources that we're going to need to gather these people up and deport them. But it's going to save us money in the long run. Biden let in 20 million illegals, and most of them are living off welfare.
To secure that border.
So
Let's
let's get
talk
rid
about
of
those
them.
flights again.
Freeloaders.
With the host countries, you flew all of those people back? Were all of the people arrested on the first day, for instance, repatriated? And what about those countries that won't take them back?
Oh, they'll take them back.
What do you mean by that?
We got President Trump coming to power. President Trump puts America first.
Yeah, he puts America first, and he ain't taking no crap.
Mexico didn't want to
It's
do
going to
the
happen.
Mexico
You're going to
program.
take them.
Under the first administration, they did it. They didn't want to put military in the southern border. They did it.
How do you convince them?
El Salvador didn't want to take MS-13 members back. Took President Trump 48 hours to make that happen. President Trump's going to put America first. And if it doesn't, then we'll place him in a third safe country.
All appointments to the
We'll place them in a different country.
CBP app have been canceled.
They're leaving.
That is a legal way to claim asylum and get in the country. So what should people do
That
who
was
are
abuse.
seeking asylum? How do you do it?
Go to the embassy, go to port of entry. Do it the legal way. You shouldn't come to this country and ask to get asylum, and the first thing you do is break our laws by entering illegal.
So tell
Yeah. Hey, what happens if you just walk over to Mexico and you don't have a passport? You know what I mean? You can get a passport to go there. Or what if you just go to Mexico and set up shop and try to just live over there? I don't think they're going to let you do that.
me what the definition of success is over the next 6 months, over the next year, by the end of the administration. What is mission accomplished here?
Taking as many public safety threats off the street as possible. Watching illegal alien crimes in the United States decrease. Ending it. Deporting every illegal alien gang member in this country, including Trendawa and MS-13. Making our country safe. When we see the crime rate from illegal aliens go down, that's a success. Every public safety threat we remove from this country is success. Every national security threat that we find removed from the country is success. There's no number on it. So my success can be based on what Congress gives us. More money, the better we're going to do.
I noticed you didn't put in that list of things that will be mission accomplished and success, getting every immigrant who is in the country illegally out? Why not?
Because I'm being realistic. We can do what we can with the money we have. We're going to try to be efficient, but with more money we have, the more we can accomplish. If I don't have the money to remove that millions of people, then I'm not going to sit here and. One thing, no one can say I haven't been frank in everything I've said. Our success every day is taking a public safety threat off the streets or getting a national security threat out of here.
So he's saying as long as he's got the money, as long as he's got the funds to deport people, he's going to do it, whether they're criminals or not. He just wants to scoop up all the criminals first.
And our thanks to Tom Homan.
What's your name?
Okay, this is some recent video footage of Dr. Phil. He's hanging out with Tom Homan in Chicago, doing some raids, and Dr. Phil is filming some of this stuff for his channel. Here's a little clip of this.
Hey.
Seda?
Seda what? You have a person last name.
Sam?
Seda Sam?
Yes.
Where are you from?
Where I was born or where I'm from?
Where are you born?
Thailand.
Thailand.
Been deported before from the United States?
No.
Never been deported?
But I've been in the system before.
DMB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been charged with
Charged for it?
before?
I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm gonna talk to my lawyer.
I'm not going to say nothing. I'm going to talk to my lawyer, he said.
Yeah. Are you a citizen?
My mom's a citizen.
My
Your
mom's
mother's a citizen,
Yes.
but you're not?
Nope.
But you've never been deported before?
We Dr. Phil. We got Dr. Phil.
You Dr. Phil?
Yeah. How do you know me?
No, I seen Dr. Phil, you know, on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is an example of sanctuary cities, right? We got an illegal alien convicted of sex crimes involving children, and he's walking the streets of Chicago.
He's walking the streets of Chicago. Chicago lets him back out. You know what I mean? Tom Homan wants to go there with ICE, pick these, this sexual assaulter, pedophile is what he is, but they won't let him because they're a sanctuary city. So Tom Homan has to set up a sting operation to catch him when he's at home, I guess. This is what the blue cities do, man. They release these people back into the public so that they can keep terrorizing them. This is what you're voting for if you're a Democrat. You're voting to have people like him, a legal criminal. This guy committed sex crimes on kids, and he's just roaming around. So sick.
Again, the downfall, the problem with the sanctuary city, that people like us walking the street rather than local law enforcement working with federal agents, this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah. You've been charged with sex crimes with children?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really? And never been deported?
Nope.
Huh.
Let's take him in and process him, lock him up.
Got it, sir.
Book him, Dano.
Working on it. Okay.
Tom Homan and Trump they're fixing this, man. They are fixing it, whether the Democrats like it or not.
At unprecedented levels, illegal immigration at a 45-year low. Illegal immigration down 83 to 90.
Hey, this is Tom Homan. I think this was a couple months ago when Sleepy Joe was still president. And Trump, it was after the election, after Trump won. Tom Homan has given a speech there at Turning Point USA.
%. Extraordinary work. Joe Biden is the first president in history of this nation who came into office and unsecured a border on purpose. Not by mismanagement, not by incompetence. They unsecured a border by design.
On purpose.
The first day I smiled when President Trump won this election. I woke up the next morning, I was happy. I smiled for the first time in a long time.
I wake up every day. I'm so happy. I love watching the news, jumping on Twitter and watching all of the weirdos get all triggered. Oh, man, Trump is taking no prisoners. He don't give a shit what the lefties think. I love it. It's like Christmas every day, isn't it, guys?
Then I got angry.
Hey, and it's isn't it nice to have the Republicans be on offense instead of defense all the time? Trump is just bulldozing his way through, and he doesn't care. And because we have Trump, finally the Republicans grow some balls. It's amazing.
Again.
Never been happier.
Because even though they lost the election, they're still moving thousands of illegal aliens in this country every day. CBP One app still running. They're selling pieces of the border wall, for God's sakes.
Treason.
That you, the American taxpayers, paid for at a hefty price, and now we got Biden again. There is no smooth transition. They're going to destroy this country up to the last day they're in the Oval Office.
Yep.
But I got news for them. January 20th, the greatest president in my lifetime is going to walk into the Oval Office and take this country back.
Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't ruin the country anymore if you tried. It was all on purpose. They hate America and they want to tear it down. Stop voting for Democrats.
President Trump called me a few Fridays ago and says, okay, you've been bitching about the border for 4 years. You want to come fix it? I said, absolutely. I'm back. I got to learn how to retire. This is the second time I got unretired to come back for this president. But I love this president because he loves this country.
Did he say retired or retarded? Tom Homan's actually doing a good job of speaking here. I can hear just about every word he's saying.
I love this president because he wants to secure the border. I love this president because the securing the border saves lives. What Joe Biden did by unsecuring the border is this. Sex trafficking, up over 600%. No
Sick.
suspected terrorists. People on the terrorist watch list, well over 300 apprehended. President Trump, in 4 years, we had 13. We ended catch-release. Joe Biden's released at least 8 million illegal aliens in this country in violation of federal law.
You know, Biden really is a traitor, and they need to put him away, make an example out of him. You know, Biden didn't pardon himself, probably because he's thinking they would never do anything to an ex-president. Well, bullshit.
And I said it before, for the millions of illegal aliens that have been released in this country in violation of federal law, you're going home, and Tom Homan's going to make sure that happens.
See, he keeps saying it, man. If you came here illegally, you're going back home. They're deporting illegal criminals first, and then they're coming after the rest of them. Good. That's why we voted for Trump.
Think about this for a moment, what they did. They created the biggest national security vulnerability this nation's ever seen. I already said they arrested over 300 people on the terrorist watch list. Well, there's over 2 million known gotaways. Why did 2 million people pay more to get away? Why didn't they pay less to be turned over to the Border Patrol, be released within 24 hours, get a free airline ticket to the city of their choice, get a free hotel room at $500 a night, get 3 square meals a day, get free medical attention, and get work authorization within 120 days? Why did they pay more not to take advantage of this free giveaway program? Because they didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. These are gang members.
Caught.
These are the ones carrying fentanyl across the border, and these are people from terrorist-related countries. After 9/11, we created all these databases. You got the FBI screening database. You got the DOD intel database. You got the visa security program, which stopped thousands of people from getting a visa to come to the United States like the terrorists of 9/11 did. So we vet them now, and we vet through the process. You don't get a visa if we find derogatory information in your background. But what terrorist today is going to put himself in a position to ask for a visa or ask for an airline ticket when he can simply go to Mexico and be a part of that 2 million gotaway?
2 million gotaways. So those people were either terrorists or gang members. So we have 2 million gang members and terrorists here because of the Democrats. Right? Insane.
I don't know how many terrorists cross
We're
this border,
screwed.
Joe Biden, but someday we're going to find out. And it's going to
Yeah.
be a bad day for America.
We're going to
When
have a
that
terrorist
happens,
attack.
We're going to have one badass president in the White House, and that's Donald Trump, who's going to make sure we respond appropriately. People always ask me why I take this so seriously, and people say, Tom Homan's a racist, Tom Homan's a national. Say whatever you want. I don't give a shit.
Good. We don't care anymore.
Why do I care? I care because I stood in the back of a tractor trailer with 19 dead aliens that suffocated and baked to death, including a 5-year-old little boy that died in his father's arms. Throughout my career, I've seen tragedies, I've held dying children. I've seen dead aliens on the trail. I've talked to little girls as young as 9 years old that were raped multiple times by criminal cartels. They're animals.
Wow.
When you look into a little girl's eyes, 9 years old, and
Look at him. He's about to cry. You know what I mean? He's seen some shit, man. He's seen some horrible stuff. You know, it's stuff that didn't have to happen. Every bad thing that he's thinking right now that's happened to him has happened because the Democrats left their border wide open.
who had adults take everything innocent and pure from her. You look in those eyes, and those eyes have no life in them. Her life will never be the same. That's what pisses me off, because President Trump had us locked down. He had it locked down.
He had it locked down.
And
We have to all get pissed off, man, and start fighting a little bit harder. Try to fight as hard as Tom
this
Holman. You know what I
administration
mean?
came in and unlocked it. People die on the border every day. Women are sex trafficked in this country every day. That's why
Yeah, there's nothing humane about having an open border, guys. That's why no other countries have open
I'm
borders.
pissed off. And that's why the best day of my life was President Trump getting reelected to save lives. A secure border saves lives.
And it's only going to last as long as we have a Republican president. Because as soon as we get a Democrat in there, they're going to just tear it all down and flood them in again.
It isn't rocket science. I get fired up all over again. You Trump, Trump, Trump.
They sound like the 300 guys, the Spartans, don't they?
That's right. President Trump's going to make this country safe again. President Trump's going to make our border great again. President Trump's going to decrease illegal migrant crime at unprecedented rates, because out of the gate, day one, we're going to focus on public safety threats and national security threats. They're first.
Yeah, man, I'm just worried that Trump's going to spend the next 4 years fixing everything Biden fucked up. He's going to spend it'd probably take 4 years to bring prices back down again. Inflation was so bad. You know what I mean? The open borders, shipping all these criminals out of here. Trump's going to have to do the hard work of fixing everything. And it's going to seem like we're back to normal again, man. And all the dummies are going to vote for a Democrat president again next time or something, you know? Even if it ain't next time, it's probably the time after that. Maybe JD gets in there for, best case scenario is to get JD in there for 8 years. Wouldn't that be great? But I don't think our country's smart enough to do that.
Coming first. In Tren de Agua, your days are numbered. My gang's bigger than your gang. And we're going to take you out of the country. We're going to port you out of here.
Yeah!
Who do you think you are, coming to the greatest nation on earth and victimizing Americans in this country? Your days are numbered. You're number one on the list. MS-13, you're right behind them. To the sanctuary cities who want to attack me every day so you can put roadblocks up, you're not going to assist us. Shame on you. Shame on any elected representative, any congressman, council person, any mayor, any governor who don't want to remove public safety threats from your community.
Hey, man, if an elected officials stand in the way of Trump deporting these illegals, that should be a federal crime. They should get arrested and tried and put in jail. I want to see that.
And they're here illegally.
It's the only way to stop
That's
it.
your number one responsibility, is protect your communities. So if you're not going to do it, President Trump and ICE will.
You can't just bitch about it. You got to have action. You got to arrest these mayors. And who cares if they're senators, governors, arrest them. And they'll quit doing it. It's a public security threat to have these public officials trying to block Trump from deporting these criminals.
The mayor of Chicago, not a real bright guy,
He dumb.
says Tom Homan isn't welcome in Chicago. Well, guess where Tom Homan's going to be day one? Chicago, Illinois. You don't want me there? Come get me.
Come get some.
The people of Chicago have spoken. I went there a few weeks ago. The black community's upset. The whole community's upset because violent crime is up, and millions of dollars in public services are being given to people who are not supposed to be here. Meanwhile, the tax-paying community that is in a bad way because the Biden administration's economic plans, they're getting robbed every day by giving millions of dollars to people that aren't supposed to be here.
Yeah, not only are people being sexually assaulted by these illegals, they're being murdered. And we're giving them welfare and food stamps and free health care. Some of these places want to give them free college. What? That doesn't make any sense, man.
That's
Why?
not the way it's supposed to be, folks. It's not okay to be in this country illegally. It's not okay to enter this country illegally. It's a crime to enter this country illegally.
Yeah.
Now, let me continue to educate sanctuary cities. You want to not help? Fine. Shame on you. If you don't want to protect your communities, shame on you. But we're going to do it for you. You're not going to stop me. We're coming. So put up all the roadblocks you want, because we'll knock them down.
Yeah.
And don't cross that line. People say Holman threatened to prosecute everybody in the world. I'm not threatening to prosecute anybody. What I'm saying is there's a line. You don't want to help, that's fine. Well, there's two statutes you need to be familiar with. One's 8 U.S.C. 1324 III. If you knowingly impede, if you knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from ICE, that is a felony, and there will be consequences.
There will be. Okay. That's what I'm hoping.
Now, let me make it clear. The governor says I don't have the authority to do that. Well, no shit. I'm not a U.S. attorney, but U.S. attorney certainly does, and we'll ask for prosecution.
Do you think Holman's bluffing here, or do you think he would arrest a mayor? Huh? Or a city council person? I hope he does, man. The law is the law.
We will not let you prevent us from saving the American communities from illegal alien crime. It's not going to happen. We're going, we're coming. So even though I say we're going to prioritize criminal threats and national security threats out of the gate, that's a fact. However, when sanctuary cities won't let us into the jail to arrest the bad guy in the safety and security of that county jail, which means they're going to release that criminal back into the immigrant community, which puts the immigrant community at risk of crime. It puts our officers at great risk. Rather than arresting a guy in the safety and security of a county jail where he don't have weapons, now we got to go to the community, find him. We ask access to who knows what weapons. You're putting the community at risk. You're putting officers at risk. You're putting the alien at risk.
Because the Democrats don't give a shit. How can you be a cop and work in a blue city and arrest a pedophile and then be part of the system that processes them and then lets them back out on the street again? Kind of a cop does that.
I'm going to give you exactly what you don't want. You don't want us in jail? All right, so I'll send a whole bunch of agents into your community, and we'll find the bad guy. And when we find the bad guy, he's probably going to be with others that aren't a priority apprehension, but guess what? They're getting arrested too. So you're going to get exactly what you don't want, more arrests in your communities. I don't want to do that. I'd much rather be safe for the agents to arrest the guy in the county jail, but they don't let us in.
So if they're going after an illegal criminal, and they're living with some other illegals that aren't criminals, other than breaking our laws coming here, Tom Homan don't care. If you're here illegally, you're gone, and eventually he's going to get to all you guys. So start self-deporting right now.
Fine. You're not going to stop us. We'll go to the community and we will find him. You're not going to stop us. Put all the roadblocks you want. It's not going to work. We're going to do this because the American people demand it. You gave President Trump a mandate, and we're going to make sure that mandate's held up.
Good. That's why I voted for Trump. One of the reasons.
President Trump's backstage. President Trump's backstage. And let me say, I want to say one thing in closing. And I said it at the RNC and I meant it. The criminal cartels in Mexico have killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world combined. That's
crazy, right? So 100,000 Americans died under Biden every year, just from fentanyl.
Over 250,000 young Americans have died from fentanyl poison.
More than that.
President Trump's going to hold China.
4 years at 100,000 a year. That's 400,000 Americans that's died. That's almost half. That's almost 500,000.
Accountable for creating the precursors he's selling to the cartels.
And they got away
President Trump's
with it.
going to hold Mexico accountable.
China's been selling the precursors to fentanyl to the cartels this whole time, and we haven't done anything to China in retaliation. They just keep killing us, and we're not doing anything. Well, those days are over,
We're not
guys.
doing anything about these criminal cartels. President Trump's going to designate them terrorist organizations. And we're going to wipe them off the face of the earth.
Good.
Criminal cartels keep making. I got numerous death threats. Criminal cartels, you make death threats against me, bring it. Because the greatest country on the face of this earth is going to put you out of business and put you in prison. If Mexico don't do it, the United States will. President Trump will.
One South American leader tried to turn away those flights, but he quickly reversed that policy after a fierce response from President Trump.
So this is an example of what happens when a country refuses to take their illegals back. Right now it's just illegal criminals, soon to be all illegals. The president of Colombia said he wouldn't take 2 plane loads of illegals. And so Trump threatened the terrorists and all that stuff, and he quickly changed his mind.
We have more on that as we go to Peter Ducey. He's live at the White House for us. What a weekend it was, Peter.
Hey, people have just gotten used to, I guess, America being run by Joe Biden. It's different now. It's the opposite of what it was. So we ain't taking no shit. You're going to play ball or you're going to suffer the consequences. Trump's
and Sandra,
back in
this
town,
weekend,
baby.
for a few hours at least, the Colombian president was really dug in against President Trump, and he was explaining in public why Colombia was not going to accept 2 U.S. military planes full of Colombians who had entered the United States illegally. The president said at one point, the U.S. cannot treat Colombian migrants as criminals. I deny the entry of American planes carrying Colombian migrants into our territory. The United States must establish a protocol for the dignified treatment of migrants before we receive them.
They're not just migrants. They've been convicted of crimes, committing crimes in this country. So they're criminal illegals, even though all illegals are criminals, because they broke our laws just by coming here.
Then came a 25% tariff threat that would rise to 50% after a week, and suddenly 180 degrees different. Part of the news statement said this: the president provides a presidential plane for the dignified return of his fellow citizens and will lead efforts at the Extraordinary Assembly of CELAC. Caroline.
He caved I guess, I don't know, 80% of their exports come to America, so Trump is going to tariff the living shit out of it. That'll break that country. So he talked tough for a few hours and then came to his senses. And Trump was tweeting this stuff out while he was playing on the golf course. So it's just hilarious that the president of Colombia says he wasn't going to take these illegals back. And Trump fixed it in between the holes on the golf course just by tweeting.
Leavitt, the new press secretary, said in part the fully drafted
awesome.
IEEPA tariffs and sanctions will be held in reserve and not signed unless Colombia fails to honor this agreement. The visa sanctions issued by the State Department and enhanced inspections from Customs and Border Protection will remain in effect until the first plane load of Colombian deportees is successfully returned. The new president wants to deport people back to their countries of origin. These tariff threats are a way to try to keep that process moving, and that's not going to stop.
If you have a person who is convicted of a violent crime, whether they're an illegal immigrant or a non-illegal immigrant, you have to go and get that person to protect the public safety. That's not unique to immigration.
Yep. They're all going, guys. So just prepare yourselves, because Trump and Homan are sending all of these criminal illegals back. And like he said, as time goes by, the aperture opens. Okay. And they're going to start deporting anybody who's illegal. So, and they've already put the word out. You may as well self-deport, because you are ultimately going back. Now, Democrats want this open border because these illegals are counted in the census, which is stupid. So if all of the illegals go home tomorrow, the Democrats lose 20 seats in the House. They lose all power. Right now, it's very close in the House and the Senate. The Senate wouldn't change, but the House would. So it's, we have what, 3? We're up 3 in the House. Well, if the Democrats lose 20 seats, we're kicking their ass. So it's just another way that they cheat. So there's a new sheriff in town, and things are changing. And I love that Trump doesn't give a damn what they think. He just does what he knows is right. Let the libs cry. Let the media cry. We don't care. So that's what I love about Trump. All right, guys. If you like this video, leave a comment or a thumbs up. Share it, possibly. And don't forget to subscribe, guys, all right? Do it.